How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, this is another Lost Heroes of the Golden Age, and I am wearing my Grinch shirt. Isn't that awesome? Yes, naughty. Who, me? Anyways, we are continuing with.
Hey, hold up a minute.
What?
I saw the comments in the last video.
Okay.
It's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. At tea time, everybody agrees. I'll stare directly at the sun, but never in the mirror. It must be exhausting, always rooting for the anti-hero.
Okay, stop that. Why are you singing that?
I do believe I was referred to as the anti-hero.
That's not what that was meant to be. Anyways, it's Christmas time. If anything, you should be singing a Christmas song.
It's Christmas at ground zero. Just seconds left to go. I'll duck and cover with my Yuletime lover underneath the mistletoe.
Okay, stop. Are you done?
I'm trying to be festive.
I'm guessing I kind of asked for that. Anyways.
You did.
Let me do the intro. Okay, we are continuing with Voice Month, and we are picking a villain out of Nedor comic books. He's one of the rare reoccurring villains, which it kind of needed to happen because he wasn't revealed in his first issue, and it's fair that they didn't reveal him because there was no buildup that any revealing would have paid off and been satisfying. So they had to bring him back so that we could reveal who he is, but he almost felt like a second character when they revealed who he was. They almost felt like two completely different people. I missed it the first time because I didn't realize that was the voice. They didn't feel like the same person. They didn't talk about what he did in the last story. I'll briefly go over the second appearance, and we'll cover the first one in a very weird story. I'll point out where I have issues. Don't worry, I'll point out where I have issues. So let's go ahead and cover the villainous voice, and this is the last villain voice that I have found, on the Voice Month with Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. The Voice, Trent, first appeared in Black Terror Comics number 11 in 1945. The publisher is Nedor, and he is created by Unknown. Now, I actually like the first appearance of the Voice because he does seem to be a menacing individual with actually a very well-constructed plan, except for the vehicle that he drives around in. I have major problems with the vehicle in the first issue, and we'll go into that. His second appearance, he's one of the rare reoccurring villains. The Black Terror didn't have villains occur very much, and he kind of needed to come back because he wasn't revealed in the first issue. Now, it is not unusual for villains to get away unrevealed, but they usually escape unrevealed. But they capture him at the end, and they don't reveal his identity, which kind of makes sense. They didn't lead up to... they didn't lead into anybody that would make the revealing of the Voice a great reveal. But I don't like what they did with him in his second appearance. He doesn't actually really do anything villainous. He's trying to escape Red Ann, who, let's see, is this beautiful redhead. I mean, the reporter says she's beautiful. She's going after the Voice because the Voice killed her husband. So she decided to become this vigilante with a domino mask and a gun to try and take down the Voice to avenge the death of her husband. And she finds out that it was a friend of her and her husband's named Trent. And he killed her husband because he wanted to be with her. I mean, he is so much less menacing when you think about this. I mean, in the last, they finally get him, and she goes, "Trent, it was you all the time." "Yes, Anne. I've always been the voice. I killed Bart because that's was how I handled anyone who stood in my way." And she couldn't bring herself to shoot him, so he goes to justice. And he is just not menacing. I mean, they were taking him away because he was trying to bomb the town and kill a whole bunch of people. And in this, it just shows that he was jealous. And he killed a man because he was jealous. Which, you know, it just takes away from the coolness. And I mean, I didn't even realize, because I was looking for his appearance in this comic. I didn't even realize that it was him at first, because it had nothing to do with him being in costume. I mean, even the Black Terror story is even said, The Revenge of Red Ann. So, if it wasn't for the fact that they called him the Voice, I wouldn't realize that it was the Voice. And it doesn't seem like they mention anything about the previous battle that they had. They're just going to find out, hey, we're going to find out who the Voice is. And the fact that these gangsters are trying to free him. But other than that, I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that they kept calling him the Voice, I wouldn't have known he was the Voice. So they make him so much less cooler in his second appearance. I preferred how he first showed up. But that's the two stories. And I have to say, his first appearance was pretty cool. His second appearance, a one-off story. Red Ann only exists for the sake of the story. The Voice never appears again, which is actually a shame, because if they had kept him as cool as he appeared in the number 11th issue, this could have been a villain that stood a test and could have actually been somebody who appeared a numerous number of times. He wore a skull and crossbones like the Black Terror, and this could have been a really cool villain. They totally deconstructed him for his second story. Wasn't nearly as cool. So let's go ahead and get into the issue where he appears for the first time and see the impracticality of his mode of transport. Although I like the opening page here, I have so many concerns about this aircraft. The blades are on the bottom of the craft. Now, I'm not saying that it wouldn't fly. I know that they have some experimental platform designs that were built in the 50s that can generally allow something like this to retain lift in the air. But it's the purpose of the vehicle that becomes inexplicable. First of all, it hovers, and I'm not going to take away from that fact. The blades on the bottom could allow this thing to hover. The helicopter doesn't need blades on the bottom. The blades on the top can still hover in place. Also, this thing is dropping bombs with the blades on the bottom of it. The bombs would come in contact with the blades, making it impractical. And it has wheels that it rests on. Because later on, we see the vehicle inside of a hangar, and the blades and the wheels, the blades are touching the ground and the wheels are touching the ground. Now, I don't know at what point the blades need to be spinning for this thing to gain lift, because they call it a plane, even though it has no wings. This thing would need the blades to spin to take off. But if the blades started spinning for this thing to require the lift it would need to take off, it would shear off the wheels, because you would have to somehow retract the wheels for the blade to start spinning so they didn't shear off the wheels. But when the blades would be on the ground, the blades would get destroyed by being on the ground. So the wheels would have to lift this thing up off the ground so the blades could start spinning. But we see the blades in between the wheels. The blades are larger than where the wheels are holding this, so the blades would shear off the wheels. There's so much impracticality behind this machine. And it's not like the blades rotate around the vehicle. When we see it later, the blades are on the ground while the wheels are on the ground. There's so much impracticality about this vehicle. It looks cool. The operation of it is cool. It doesn't seem practical in any way, shape, or form. Now, we've seen helicopter planes. I've covered them in the vehicle, but the blades have always spun and are on top. I don't see how this thing can functionally get into the air without it destroying itself. Anyways, a gigantic scrolling crossbones in the sky herald a mysterious death to the chosen victims of the voice. Guiding by whispered clues of dying men, Bob Benton, alias the Black Terror, and his fighting partner Tim go west for another spine-tingling, victorious adventure. Okay, so in Bob Benton's drugstore one Monday morning, yeah, he's a pharmacist. I know I haven't covered the Black Terror, so a lot of the stuff that I'm going to be covering that concerns him, unless you know anything about him, I know I need to cover him one day, so when we're doing stories involving him, we would know his power sets better, but you just have to go with the fact that he owns a drugstore. Okay. So, special delivery from Nevada. Who do you know in Nevada? An old classmate. So we go into exposition about how they got a letter. He's saying that neighbors of his friends have died mysteriously. And he said something about a skull and crossbones in the sky, which intrigues his interest enough that he wants to go out there. Now, while they're trying to get out there, Jean, this girl, shows up. And the statement from Tim here, gosh, I thought for once we might get to go somewhere alone. You really needed to worry that better. Especially with the, I know the book, The Seduction of the Innocents, wouldn't be published into the 50s, but this would be a prime example of something that they would put, because that is not worded very well. Anyways, I don't believe that Jean knows that Bob is the Black Terror, which is really weird because Bob and the Black Terror are both showing up in Nevada, where the Black Terror doesn't operate, and she doesn't seem to think that this is odd at all. Yeah, Bob and Black Terror were showing up in Nevada at the same time. Oh, perfectly normal. Why wouldn't it be? Anyways, Bob lands and they meet Fred Swanson. Hello, Bob. Gosh, I love this part. I'm glad you could make it so soon, but I didn't know you'd bring a lady along. Shut up, Tim. The hero may tell his sidekick to be quiet or hush up, but he just says, shut up, Tim. And I love that. That is perfect. So he drives them to the shack so they can get a lay of the land, and then he wants to speak to Bob. Bob, I've been waiting to get a word with you alone. This is important. Let's have it, Fred. Tell me about these killings and the skull and crossbones. So he tells them all about what's going on. You see an awful thing. I saw the skull and crossbones last night over my house. And anybody who sees the skull and crossbones don't live long to it. Now, they go outside, and apparently, I guess it has to be nighttime already, because everything suddenly is dark. It does say that night after dinner. So yeah, it's dark. It's dark now. Suddenly, at first unnoticed, a ghastly symbol appears in the sky. Look, is that what you mean? It's coming this way. Hey, Tim. Look at the practicality of this aircraft. There are no wings on this thing. I don't understand how the motion of this machine works. There's a propeller on the front, a propeller on the bottom, and there are nothing on the side. There are no propellers on the sides. There are no wings. There's only tail wings. The whole function of this aircraft is completely, it doesn't seem to function. Time to change costume, Tin. We've got to start fighting right away and hard. Wow. Okay. Now it starts dropping bombs. Okay. I guess that makes a little more sense. No. Well, we see it earlier. The blades actually seem to be longer. Well, I mean, they're dropping the bombs from the nose of the aircraft. But when we see this vehicle sitting in the hangar later, the blades look like they would extend beyond the nose of the aircraft. But right here, it shows that the blades don't cover over where the hangar door is. But if that were the case, then the blades wouldn't be long enough to propel this thing in the air. I mean, look where the blades are holding. It's not in the middle of the aircraft. It's near the back of the aircraft, which then begs the question how the front of the aircraft is propelled in the air if all the function of lift is happening near the rear of the aircraft. I know, I'm going more over this aircraft than we are over the villain, but there's a lot of questions of concern to the functionality of this vehicle. Okay, so, geez, they changed real quick. So it starts dropping bombs, and it looks like there's, it looks like they did have a little foresight of that. It looks like there's a little bit of smoke in the air. The Black Terror leaps onto the giant soundless plane. I don't understand how, and then now look, the blades actually extend. Now it looks like the blades are in the middle, and they extend a lot farther than where the bomb door would be, which means if it's dropping bombs, it's getting hit by the blades, which makes this whole vehicle completely impractical. So he grabs onto the blades, which I have to say is a completely impressive feat, considering how fast the blades are spinning to keep this vehicle prepared. I would have thought that you would have come in contact with the blades before you actually grabbed onto them. Now, something that's going to happen here that's going to make some other things happening in the story inexplicable. So he actually grabs the blades without getting chopped up, shredded, or bashed around, because he's invulnerable, so they probably wouldn't chop him up. Tim's following him, and he's getting shot. You can see the bullets are bouncing off of him because the Black Terror, as I understand, has a measure of invulnerability. He's definitely bulletproof. Save the lead, rats. I prefer fists. So he punches the guy in the face, and someone says, switch to reverse quickly. The blades start spinning in the other direction while Tim is grabbed on, and I guess that causes him to fall off. If you're suddenly switching the way that the blades are moving, I mean, these blades wouldn't move. They would have to slow down before we started reversing the other directions, or you would completely fry the system. So in the time that it would take to start moving the blades in the other direction, wouldn't this vehicle fall out of the sky? I mean, suspension of disbelief is one thing, but there's a whole lot of things going on here that physics just would not allow. And I know that we're supposed to put physics out of our mind, but this, even in 1945, it's just, there's just so much about this that doesn't work. Okay, so he punches the guy in the face, and now this is the part that I don't understand. He jumps onto spinning rollerblades that should have just bashed his body to pieces. He takes bullets to the chest, yet he seems to be affected by the punch to the face. You just repelled bullets. They bounced off of you. How is a punch to the face affecting you? And then he gets punched and falls to the ground, somehow missing all the blades while falling, because we saw how far the blades extended, and then he hits the ground, Terror, are you alright? Supposedly, he's bulletproof and invulnerable, yet a punch and a land on the ground seem to affect him. And then there's an awful quick recovery time, because now he's on his feet covering his mouth. I can't let them get away. Watch the gas, Tim. It's poisonous. You're telling me. And then the guy is out here. So the Black Terror, Tim, and this guy are all out in the gas. So apparently Bob's friend is dead now because he's in the midst of the gas. And if it's poison, Terror, Tim, and his friend, they should all be dead. Every one of you standing out in this gas, which is poisonous, should be dead now. Terror, are you going to keep up with them? Maybe not, but I'll try. If we let this thing get out of sight, it'll take more trouble someplace else. So as they follow it, suddenly the elusive helicopter has vanished. Is it really a helicopter with the way this vehicle functions with the blades being on the bottom? So he does, okay, so they do call it a helicopter, not a plane, but it doesn't function as a helicopter. Nope. Over here. Okay, in the box it says, suddenly the elusive helicopter has vanished. In the next panel, he does call it a plane. Probably some special engine designed to let the plane sneak up on its enemies. I don't understand how the vehicle is silent, even if it's got a specially designed engine, and you're calling it a plane. Yet, the narrating box calls it a helicopter. Okay, so they try to follow it, and it suddenly disappeared, and they see this plateau, and he says something that he shouldn't say. No time to think of that right now. At least they're safe for a while. Say, doesn't that valley look sort of queer to you? I don't know why this word was appropriate in the 40s. We can't say that word nowadays, but apparently it's littered in the golden age. Not as much as you would think, but we have seen this word appear from time to time in some of the videos I covered. Can't say that word. He says, yeah, it looks all smashed out, and they realize that this is camouflage, and they find the helicopter or plane, it's been called both, lying in the hangar. So they start to destroy the camouflage area by bringing the beams down. Now while they're crashing everything, grab them. It's the Black Terror and his pal. As he knocks one guy out, he gets struck in the back with one of the girder beams, and he falls down unconscious. The guy who somehow survived the twirling blades of the helicopter, shot in the chest with bullets that bounced off of him, is brought to unconsciousness by a giant beam in the back. It didn't even hit him in the head, it hits him in his back. Yet, he falls to the ground unconscious. So Tim starts to take over the battle till he's actually smacked in the face with a 2x4. And that actually makes more sense. He actually got hit in the cranium, in the head. So, him being knocked out actually makes a lot of sense because he got hit in the head. With Terror, he got hit in the back. Shouldn't have knocked him out. And don't say, oh, the force of the pain knocked him out. He took bullets to the chest. There's no way a 2x4 to the back is going to knock him out. But, you have to find a way to subdue the heroes to put them in a dire situation that they can later escape to seem more heroic. Anyways, the gangsters take them to the Voice. And they're talking about him. Wish we could see the Voice's face when he gets a squint at these two. I bet he'd even smile. Shut up, Mac. The Voice can't smile. I saw him once without his hood. He hasn't even got a face. He appears again, and he most definitely does have a face. So he's talking nonsense. So This is what caused all the disturbance. I don't think they'll be causing any more. They wrecked the whole camouflage upstairs. We'll leave the punishment up to you for spoiling our raid tonight and smashing our camouflage. I have punishment of just the proper severity. Do you remember when I told you about the hemoline gas, my own discovery? That red gas, sure, but we haven't even tried it out yet. All right, we'll try it out on these guys. And then we reveal that they also caught Bob's friend and I believe Jean. So she must have known that Black Terror was around, because she's saying, "Terror, help!" How did she even know that the Black Terror was there? Did they follow the Black Terror and Tim as they were following the helicopter that can't possibly be a helicopter? I mean, Black Terror called it a plane. So Tim and Black Terror can't do anything, and those two are thrown in a special cell, so the Terror starts to fight. Let's get going, Tim. Can't let them hurt Jean. Or your friend. I think his name was Fred. I mean, I'm glad you're concerned with the person that is the whole reason for you being here in the first place. So he starts to fight off the bad guys, and he charges at the voice. And like this clank, he immediately stops moving. Not this time, Terror. Good grief, what are you made of? Not flesh and bone, as you see, Terror, or I could not begin to carry out my plans. Enough. Fasten them to the chains. So they get, a blow to the back knocked him unconscious, yet he ran into somebody wearing armor and he doesn't get knocked unconscious. So he gets stabbed up, and we get exposition of what he's trying to do. He wants to drop the gas and wipe out an entire town. So with the 100 square miles that this town is built off, that's a lot of miles. He can launch his attack against all America, mines, factories, human beings, and all will work at my command. Now, as he walks out, he calls them dogs. Here comes the hemoline. Dogs, I advise you to breathe deeply and get it over with. Now, considering he's calling 2 Americans dogs, that's the kind of thing that Germans did. They called us American dogs or pigs. So you would think that with him calling them dogs that he's not American. Turns out that he is. Okay. The gas is heavier than the air, and it's a very powerful, as the voice says, my idea may work. So he has an idea, and he starts to bring, he looks like he's trying to bring the chains out of the wall. Okay. Now look at these blades as this thing is sitting on the ground. There's no practical way this thing can lift up into the air without just completely shattering the wheels. Okay, so we see them loading up the aircraft with bombs. Meanwhile, dawn approaches and the voice must carry out his plans. Okay, they were working at night before. The winged monster rises from the ground and swings toward the city of Elkwater. No, there are no wings on that thing. It's only propellers. You should have said the propelled monster. All right. Right. It's too bad we haven't got time to see what's going on in the room downstairs. Don't worry about that. Oh, yeah. The villains never watch the heroes die. It's cliche. Okay, so back in the death chamber. Okay. So, Bob is talking about or the Black Terror is talking about how strong the gas is, and it's eating through the metal, and they might be able to destroy the chains. And just then, the chains give loose, and they go towards the door. Make it snappy, Tim. if you want to get out in one piece, I feel like a kangaroo. Your input is just... Okay, anyways. So, they break out and... the door, and then it's like, Tara, don't forget us. What the... Jean? You knew she was there. You're shocked by the fact that she's there. You knew she was there. Anyways, in the bar, simpler than opening a can. Now hurry, we've got a date in Elkwater. Thank goodness. You're amazing, Terror. Okay. All right, and as they go in the above the ground, one helicopter remains. Now you see, this is different. This is a helicopter with its blades on top, which is completely practical. I mean, this makes sense to have the blades on top versus the other one. I mean, okay, this is the helicopter. Climb aboard, everybody, and put on parachutes. We're going to have a rough trip. You're bringing them along for your adventure? Okay. Now they see the craft hovering above Edgewater. Hurry, Terror. They've already started their attack. Wait. Okay, I'm confused. Terror and Tim jump out of the helicopter so that they can jump onto the craft that the voice is on, and Jean and Fred parachute to safety. Okay, so just to put this in perspective, 4 people go into the helicopter. Tim and the Black Terror leave the helicopter to jump on the other vehicle, which means 2 people are in the helicopter. Jean and Fred also parachute to safety, which means all 4 people piloting the helicopter have now jumped out of it. So you've left it, there is nobody piloting the current helicopter, which means that you just turned this into a very dangerous falling object because there is nobody to pilot this thing to safety. That just makes... Oh my god. This is totally stupid. Why would all 4 of you leave the helicopter? Couldn't at least one of you have tried to land to safety? Couldn't Fred have tried to bring it down? You just said Jean and Fred parachute to safety while you 2 were jumping out of it. So you just turned this thing into a very dangerous falling object. This helicopter could go anywhere. It could crash right into you guys while you're jumping out. It could fall onto the ground and kill a whole lot of people. What you guys just did was turn this thing into a very dangerous situation. That was completely stupid. Okay. They somehow get into the plane. Here's one of your own gas bombs, boys. Jump off, Tim, and hold your breath. Boy, just watch me. Your input is just incredible, Tim. The Himalayan gas. Ah! On the ground, the citizens of Elkwater bravely combat the gas. I don't understand this at all. Apparently, we see this guy throwing away one of the gas canisters that apparently didn't blow up. Might have known you take the easy way down, voice, leaving your gang to die in the air. So Terror confronts the voice. This last page, the whole thing of this last page makes hardly any sense at all. I mean, they jump out of a helicopter, turning it into a dangerous weapon. They somehow get into the other vehicle by going through the windows that have to be on the side, blowing up the gas, leaping out of the helicopter with the upside down blades was completely impractical, and somehow getting the voice in the air while he's parachuting down And the canisters apparently didn't blow up as they hit the ground, and the citizens are able to toss the gas canisters away. None of this makes any sense at all. Okay, oh my god. Oh, none of this makes any sense. Okay. The very last panel. Moments later, with the gas under control, the voice is all that's left of his gang. Think I'll leave him for the police to take care of. They'll have to remove the suit and armor he wears under his cloak. You've done a wonderful service for the people of Nevada and America, Terror. But I wonder if you can find my friend Bob Benton for me. Oh, he'll turn up now that the danger's over. Gosh, Terror, if he were only like you. Terror and Tim return in the next issue. Don't miss them. You need to put 2 and 2 together. Bob shows up and so does the Terror. I mean, is she playing ignorant? I mean, she's completely clueless. Okay, that's the end of this. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. Black Terror is somebody I definitely like to get into one of these days. We do have one more video for Voice Month. This one should be a pretty good one. So, I hope you're enjoying all the videos. I hope you're recommending my channel to your friends, and tune in next week as we wrap up Voice Month. Until then, I'll be seeing you.